Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum was launched to inform, inspire, motivate diverse talent to join the energy workforce by intentional recognition of current female energy leaders who contribute to growing Florida's economy and the purposeful sharing of their professional journeys. We are creating opportunity. Join me each week as we meet new leaders in energy and listen to their important roles in an industry that is vital to the country's future. Good morning, and welcome to this episode of Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum, where today we're showcasing Siemens Energy. And Jennifer, welcome to the show. Today we're with Jennifer Hooper, who is, I want to do this slowly, Jennifer, and get this title right. Jennifer is the Senior Vice President in the Industrial Applications Process Solutions Division of Siemens Energy. That's like I got to take a breath there after that. You know where we need to start? What does that mean? Jennifer, what does that title mean? What do you do? It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. So I work for Siemens Energy, and Industrial Applications is our division in which we focus on industries. And Process Solutions is really the business in which we focus on electrification, automation, and digitalization as a solution. So it's not centered on products, it's really centered on integrating solutions in, I'm going to call it now, the EAD space. And we focus on different industries in oil and gas, in maritime and naval, as well as in pulp and paper. So it's quite diverse.
It's great. It's so funny. I watched how slow you said.
I do.
Electrification, automation, and digitalization, EAD. We're going to talk a lot about that. But you gave me comfort in that you still, after these years, have to do that slowly. It is a mouthful, but it's a very important mouthful. And we're going to delve a lot into what all of that means on this episode. So welcome to the show. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us today. And listen, you get the award for being the furthest away from where I am in Tallahassee, Florida, to be our guest. You're actually in a whole different country. We're talking to you as you're sitting there in Germany, right? So what time is it there in Germany?
So we have 3:33 p.m. You're starting your day and I'm getting towards the end.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. So let's see. Last year, you made an announcement about the first of its kind industrial scale facility in Germany, which is one of the reasons you're there right now, providing the EAD solutions platform. So let's just take it slow, right? Is that a renewable energy project?
It is, yes.
So describe that project to us, and in doing that, let's see what EAD really means.
Yeah, sure. So this project is a biorefinery, which offers renewable alternatives. So what that means is that you did mention that it is first of its kind. It's first of its kind in this scale, in which what it's doing is converting 100% wood into biochemicals. And then these biochemicals are used in various end products, such as bottles, packaging material, textiles, or rubber products. So it is truly a renewable project and renewable products in that way. As you said, our scope is in the electrification, automation, and digital. And this is one of the projects that we really get to show all of our capabilities. And our scope includes the power distribution, the drive systems, the control system, and a complete digital twin. So it is really electrified, automated, and has a long-term digital effect from Siemens Energy.
And is it complete and operational now, or are you still working on the development of it?
We're still working on the development of it. It is commissioning now. So hopefully, very soon, we will be up and operational.
And is it something that you think can be replicated in the States? I mean, you alluded to the fact that it's the first of its kind of that scale. Does that mean there is a similar project in the United States, perhaps not that large?
I'm not sure if there's one around that size in the United States per se, but what I can say is that it can be replicated in the United States because there are a couple of factors that you need to consider for a project like that. And one is that you have to have a renewable wood resource.
Mhm.
You have to have strong logistics and infrastructure, as well as a biochemical know how. And the United States absolutely has all of those elements in order to replicate a project like this. And just a fun fact to note, which is close to Florida, is that
Yeah.
one of the off takers of the biochemicals is actually out of Atlanta. So
Mhm.
even though the facility is in Germany, it's a small world, and one of the biochemicals is being used out of Atlanta for the bottles that they
That's
produce.
fascinating. So well, I'm sure we can't guess which company that is. Um, so Jennifer, but the intent behind all of this as it relates to that project and frankly, probably everything that Siemens Energy does is
Mhm.
that you are contributing to what you believe is a address of carbon emissions, right?
Correct.
So, first and foremost, what the project will enable Germany to do is to lower the carbon footprint, right?
That's correct. Yep. That's
And
absolutely.
so, how much of your work has to go into accountability, right? Are there data points for how much that project will lower the carbon footprint,
Mhm.
and are there data points then that can be improved upon? What are you doing on the accountability side?
Mhm. So as Siemens Energy, we at our core focus on decarbonization. And we absolutely track not only our carbon footprint, but then those also of our portfolio. And so KPIs around decarbonization are very important to us. And for example, if I talk about integration of an electrical drive powered by a renewable resource, and that renewable resource can be solar, it can be wind, it could be wave. We see that we can reduce CO2 emissions by 30% by just talking about the electrical drives being powered by another source other than fossil fuels. Recently, and as I mentioned earlier, the markets that we serve are oil and gas, and maritime, marine, and pulp and paper. And one of the recent new solutions that we have also just been recognized for is actually decarbonization in the offshore industry for oil and gas. And the solution is called Blue Wind.
Hmm.
And what we're doing with Blue Wind is we're combining renewable offshore wind energy with battery energy storage to create a microgrid. And
Mm.
what this is reducing is the carbon footprint offshore. So it substantially reduces this up to 70% by supplying emission free power to facilities, which means that they don't have to get their power from fossil fuels. And I know it's kind of a weird thing. You're talking about oil and gas and decarbonization, but as I mentioned about the industries that we serve, oil and gas is an industry, and they have to also reduce their carbon footprint. So everything that we look at, we are looking at those KPIs and how do we electrify then these industries in order to be better and smarter at what they do and how to protect the environment in every action that they have.
So, and our producer just put a reminder up there. Please, audience, feel free to post any questions. You can write the question into your Facebook page if you're watching us through Facebook Live or through YouTube. So please do participate in this. So Jennifer, obviously Siemens Energy is a sponsor today of this podcast. So I'm going to give you some additional recognition here with this question. Everything you just said seems to me makes you a very good partner prospect for a company that's looking at offshore wind, a state that's pursuing, wood to energy, right? Lumber to
Mhm.
energy. So this is my plug for Florida, right? I'm Florida first. We have all of that. We have all of that, Jennifer. We've got lumber, we've got pulp and paper, and we certainly have a very innovative, as I think you would agree with me, innovative um, energy industry. But
Mhm.
we also have natural gas. And what I don't hear you say, and I'm not surprised because you actually came from the oil and gas industry yourself. It's for the states that are looking to do more on the electric side and battery storage.
Mhm.
We should probably make clear that none of this is anti natural gas, right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I mean, this planet, us as humans on this planet, we need energy. And energy comes from a lot of different places. What we're looking to do is really see how we can get that energy in a carbon neutral, net zero impact. And when you talk about natural gas, I am here in Germany, and there is a crisis going on over in this part of the world right now between Russia and Ukraine. There is, like, winter is coming. It was 36 degrees here this morning, which was crazy to me. I come from Texas and I have the hot blood in me, and it's not supposed to be 36 degrees in September. And gas is an issue with the crisis going on. Most of the homes receive their heat by natural gas. And one of the projects that we were just awarded was actually out of Canada, and it's called
Mhm.
a wood fiber project. And it is a project in which we will be working in order to compress gas and be able to ship it all over the world. But what's special about this project is that it is environmentally friendly in the sense that we're utilizing clean, renewable hydroelectricity and reducing its greenhouse gas emissions by more than 80%. So, everything that we do, we are trying to utilize the technology that exists in order to solve real problems that are happening all over the world right now. And just as an example, the Russia Ukraine crisis, and then the fear of not having gas to heat the country coming this winter. This becomes a global phenomenon here
Yeah.
where all the countries are working together in order to protect humans.
Yeah, it's a global concern. And my fear is that it probably hasn't the energy side of the impact from the Russia Ukraine war uh, really hasn't hit the press perhaps as much as it should, right? So the global crisis related to the ability to use natural gas
Mm-hmm.
during the winter, I don't think has received enough attention. It sounds like you agree with that, and in many ways you're on the front line trying to
Absolutely.
address it.
It
Yeah,
is, I was talking to a customer last week, and he said he has never had politicians call him on his cell phone to talk about, can you up your supply in natural
yeah,
gas? And he
wow,
gets these phone calls 2, 3, 4 times a day,
right.
um, because that's what the governments are doing. They're looking at how they protect their citizens and the society around them.
Right. But you know what else, Jennifer, and obviously you're American as well. It also says to me as I was listening to you, it also says to me that we Americans probably take our energy companies and our ability to turn on the lights and on command, right?
Absolutely.
Literally these days, for granted. There's so much we take for granted. We
Mhm.
walk in a room and the lights come on automatically with today's technology, right?
Yeah,
And we can, light our gas heaters and have that at our access almost on demand. There's so much we take for granted, and yes, a lot of that has to do with so far adequate supply
yeah,
and the credibility and the diligence of our energy companies. And we are pretty blessed that way, certainly in Florida. I mean, I do like to brag on our
yeah,
Florida companies because I do believe we have the best of the best.
yeah.
But with that comes a complacent stakeholder group, a complacent customer group. There's a
Mhm,
lot we take for granted.
mhm.
Uh, what are those differences? If when you look at your work internationally and what you know to be true in the United States, is it you probably see progression in some ways as it relates to technology. I mean, look at what you're describing that you do at Siemens Energy,
Mhm.
but I'm sure there are pros as well to what you know about the U.S. energy portfolio. Just kind of reflect on what those differences are, Jennifer.
Yeah, the the first thing that I would start with is, coming and so I've been in Germany for a year now, and I think it was last February, so not quite a year, when I was watching on TV this, Putin signing this piece of paper and it having to do with Ukraine. And my first thought was, I am so close. Like, when you're in the United
Yeah,
States,
right.
we don't see
No,
those things like right next
no,
door to us. And um, what has been absolutely fascinating to me are how the countries work together to support each other. So Germany has quite a substantial amount of nuclear energy, and France has gas. And France has had to reduce the amount of nuclear energy based on their infrastructure. And so the conversations that happen between the different countries of, what do you need? How can I get it to you? I mean, really talking about collaboration, cooperation, win win in a crisis. It's really about, how do you protect society and the people and the humans
mhm,
that will be affected. And, maybe I was isolated from it in the United States, but I kind of think about hurricanes. Both you and I
right.
know about hurricanes,
Yeah,
right? And when there's a hurricane in Florida, you can see all the utility companies going down the highway after the hurricane to get power up as soon as possible, right? there's no state boundaries at that point. It's about getting power back to the people. And and I used to also live in Alabama and right on I-10, so I could
Yeah, yeah.
see, all the utility companies going from wherever, if the hurricane was in New Orleans, Florida, Houston, whatever, you can see that movement of people helping. Um, but in a crisis of you will not get that supply through the gas line anymore, it's phenomenal the way that the oil and gas companies are working directly with the governments, how the governments cross borders and work together. And there's a lot of similarity, but it's never been at this scale
Level. And
before.
because at that point it's a public health issue,
Yeah,
right? And it's it's more than a lifestyle change. I mean, there's a permanency. Um, there's so much, I think, that it goes back to what we take for granted. Of course, hurricanes are devastating to those that are impacted by
absolutely.
hurricanes,
Hmm.
and we have things, agreements between companies involving mutual aid, but we are blessed in the sense that we've not had to deal with the crises that some of the other countries have had, and you're right there living through it. Jennifer, we've got our first question from the audience, and it's a really good question. We are going to get a little bit personal here later in the interview, but this person wants to know if you're an engineer.
Wonderful question. I am not an engineer by education. I am actually international business background, and I am from Texas, and so I am the third generation of oil and gas. And I thought for sure by going into international business and international studies that I would go a different direction. But in fact, my international business background has served me quite well in the energy industry. So I am not an engineer. I am a businesswoman.
Yeah, and it is a great question. One of the things that we always try to highlight through Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum are the multiple careers you can
Mm,
have in
mm,
energy, but also no one degree gets you in,
yep.
and no one degree is required, right? So you can have a finance degree, international business MBA, and engineer.
Mm,
You can definitely find a career in the energy industry. So we've
absolutely.
talked around your starting in the oil and gas industry.
Hmm.
Clearly, we've already made reference to how that background has helped you with regard to what you're doing now.
Hmm.
But what exactly is your personal role in all of this?
So my role is today you're talking about, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So today I am leading one of the businesses within Siemens Energy. And I am leading a team of 3,500 people, in which we have roughly over $1 billion euro, not dollars, euro in
No.
revenue. And we are in over 20 countries around the world. And we have a really strong mission with regards to electrification and process optimization to decarbonize industries. And I'm really privileged to have been with this team for the past 2 years and leading them through crazy things have happened. So not only um, COVID, not which is when I joined, but
Yeah, of
also
course. Of
through
course.
Russia, Ukraine, which has completely
Yeah,
messed up supply chains,
right.
projects, etc. And then in all of that, we also went through a really quite substantial and fun move away from Siemens. So
Mhm.
actually, Siemens and Siemens Energy are now two completely different companies. And so it's been a quite exciting 2 years.
But headquarters is US. Is it Central Florida?
So headquarters for Siemens Energy is actually in Berlin,
Okay.
but one of the largest contributing businesses of Siemens Energy is, you're absolutely right, headquartered out of Orlando.
Yeah, because we do consider you a Florida-based
Absolutely.
company and
It's
forgive
a
you for but we recognize all of the international work you do. It makes good business sense
yeah.
to be headquartered in Germany as well, obviously. But forever in our heart, you'll be a Florida-based company. I don't think you
Perfect.
object to that, having
Not at all.
having traveled at least through I-10, right? So this is the part of the interview where we do get a little personal, Jennifer, and that's nothing to be scared about, right? But what did you think? Because obviously we do want to inform, inspire, and motivate the next generation of workforce talent.
Mhm.
What did you think you would be doing with your international business degree?
It's so interesting. Like I said, my grandparents, my parents, they all worked in the oil and gas industry. And I grew up, um, I think, dead set against not working for an oil and gas industry. And I really was following my heart of what did I want to do. And I loved just different cultures. I love business. I love thinking about things in a different way. I love connecting dots. I'm very competitive. So that competitive nature comes out too. And I actually didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. And so I just took the courses that fascinated me and ended up in really where I thought I could do the greater good, and that was international business. And the world continues to get smaller and
Yeah.
smaller. And I was just fascinated about how to bring all those pieces together. And what was really at my core was I did a report when I was in junior high on acid rain and the idea of decarbonizing our world, and I didn't even know what that meant, but something about protecting the world and business and how do I bring those things together. And I always stayed true to myself and what I had fun doing and what I was interested in. And yeah,
Followed
it's
your
been a
passion.
really
I
fun
can see it.
journey.
I can see it when you're speaking. You're very passionate about what you do, and it sounds like you have fun doing it.
Yeah.
You just described it that way. How long have you been in this business, from oil and gas to now?
So almost 25 years, I think.
So 25 years ago, I'm going to guess that there weren't very many women in the
Uh,
industry. And so have you seen significant changes?
oh, it's been fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, 25 years ago, the only woman probably most times in any meeting. Um, and not being an engineer, right? Um, I was told that I would never be anything in this business because I
Wow.
was not an engineer. And as I mentioned, I'm a bit competitive. So that's exactly, I think the next day I signed up to get my MBA, only to prove them wrong. So, so it was very much a male dominated world when I started. Um, Today is significantly different. And, I find when I go into meetings that sometimes there's only one man
Right.
and there's multiple women of different culture, different backgrounds, different interests, and it's inspiring. Um, those are on really good days, I would
Yeah.
say. It's still not the norm, that there's an equal amount of women, men, different cultures, ages. I really look at the whole inclusion and diversity and what that brings, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We
Yeah,
have to continue.
absolutely. And of course, there's more work to do. And we always, we're always clear that it is not a replacement. It is a equity
Mm,
issue and a diversity of thought. And I don't think anyone has to make excuses about that. But I do know that Siemens, just having known you all now for 2, 3 years, and your group, EDI is something that is at the forefront for your company
mhm,
with your diversity initiatives. I know, of
mhm.
course, that that has made a difference over the years. But I thank you for sharing your story with us many years ago, being told you'd never amount to anything within the company, because that's a story of resilience.
Yeah,
You call it competitive, but for many of us, that's music to our ears, because it inspires us. There's nothing better than telling someone. I've heard it myself, as you can imagine, in my life and in my career, where you can't do that. You're not going to be able to do that. I
yeah.
always think that those words make me fight harder,
I
make me
agree.
try harder, and so good on you. Congratulations. And now I understand why your team speaks so highly of you. You are a fighter, you are resilient, you're a great role model for professionals, all professionals around you, men and women. And I say all of that to say, you as you manage your team, as you lead your
Mm,
team, I'm going to guess it's a very diverse team. And
mhm.
so, what role do you play in succession planning and making sure there is equity around your team table?
Yeah, I think that you have to make it a priority. I mean, I think you have to make it a focus area. And, there's just this unconscious biasness that exists, and we have to verbalize it. And we're going through another organizational change right now. And even from the top of Siemens Energy, of our CEO and CFO, they make it a priority. In our business alone, we went from, I would say, less than 10% of gender diversity to almost 40% in this organization change. And it's really by focusing on it, and by not taking the easy way out. Because it can be very easy only to put in people that sit around you, and you
Mhm.
have to reach deeper and use your networks to, and especially during COVID, because you don't
Right.
see everybody
Right.
anymore, and people aren't in the office, and so you have to make it a focus. So I actually just looked at our results the other day with the core leadership team, and we talked about, throughout the whole organization, all the way down to every individual contributor, where are we? And we see that we have a gap now in the middle of our organization. And the focus that I said is that now we need to up our mentorship, our sponsorship. We need to get people visible. We need to give them opportunities. We need to bring them in, have them have a seat at the table so they can listen to the discussion that's happening. It's it takes focus, and it takes commitment.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Focus, commitment, giving folks the correct professional development so that they can qualify for the next position. I think that time commitment, you're so right. It's easy not to do it. Because let's face it, we're all so busy, right? You are busy doing your job. It's one more thing.
Yeah,
But you can't have succession planning if you don't help prepare the
exactly.
next generation of workforce talent. And so for the companies that get that, I have nothing but great things to say about those companies. We Part of succession planning is providing the professional development needed for the next
Mhm.
step.
And it's so interesting. I mean, I really credit some fantastic mentors um, that from a very early part of my career, they brought me to the important discussions. I
Right,
had a seat at the table to understand and hear what the bigger picture concerns or problems or challenges were that I could contribute to.
right,
Being being able to hear those discussions changes the way that you think about things, and it's not transactional, it's strategic. And it's each of our jobs as a leader to bring somebody, a young talent, to the table so they can broaden their horizons of what the conversation is really about.
right.
um, because if I was always just left in the cubicle to run my reports or whatever I was doing, I wouldn't understand the bigger picture, and it's important that we're doing that.
And you wouldn't have described your work the way you described it minutes ago. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's not what I thought I would be doing, but I'm loving what,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have described it the same way. But listen, 25, 30 years ago, whether it was you 25 years ago, me, apparently I am older, or longer for me, it was our male colleagues that sat us down, and whether they realized it or not, they were mentoring us
Hmm.
and they were our champion. And I remember early on in my career, getting asked a very important question: what is it you want to do? Was one male colleague of mine that just that question made me focus. And
Hmm.
then along the way, during the Public Service Commission application process, another male colleague, external contact, said, let's figure out how we get you there.
Hmm.
What do we need to do? And I share that story, Jennifer, and encourage you to share others as well, as a way for our audience to understand that it takes everyone. We're not just speaking to our female colleagues. There's a role everyone plays. And I, for one, am very open about everywhere I've been in my career has been because I've had a male champion. And that's just so important. It is so important. They are secure enough in their career, whoever it is, secure enough in their career that they see potential in you and want to help you grow, and recognize that in helping you grow, they help the entire organization. And no one has anything to, I don't lose by promoting women in energy. You don't lose in your team by promoting equity at your table. If anything, you've gained respect, I think.
Well, you said the words earlier. I gain diversity of thought. I
Yes,
gain
yes,
different perspectives. I mean, in the business that we're in right now, we cannot be status quo. I mean, we're changing the world. You have to have different perspectives in
right,
order to do that.
right,
Otherwise, we're going to keep going down the same path we've always gone
right.
down.
And so important for you as you are impacting a global economy. It is amazing to me, Jennifer, how calm you are talking about the Russia Ukraine crisis and the global energy issues. This is big stuff. And it's not just about Germany, is it?
No,
It's changing the world. It
it's
is amazing to me, such talent Siemens Energy has. Your team was so right about you. I am really humbled to be talking to you this morning, and can't say enough about great things about you, about your company. I want to close with this question. The truth is, we can talk to you all morning, and I hope you agree to participate in our annual forum. So if you're looking to come to Florida this year, we'll be at Florida's Women in Energy Leadership Forum, the live annual forum, November 9th through the 11th. And listen, this is breaking news. My colleague, Sarah Sims, is going to kill me for releasing this information this early. We don't have a slide for this, but we already know our 2023 dates, August 14th through the 16th, and we'll be in Fort Lauderdale. So, Jennifer, if you can't make November 22, then I know for a fact you'll be able to join us August 14th in South Florida in 2023.
Absolutely.
Here's my last question for you.
Okay.
So, as you know, as I've shared with you, the purpose of the forum was to inform, inspire, motivate the next workforce talent group. What advice would you give that second-year college student looking for a career in energy?
Oh, I would say it is the most fascinating, vibrant place to be. No day is like the next day. It is full of challenges and opportunities. And I said it a little bit earlier, but this is a place that you can really be a part of changing the world. And I highly, I mean, our society depends on energy. And so be a part of it. I guess
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Be a part of it.
Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, audience, for being with us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you November 9th through the 11th, Tampa, Florida, for the annual in-person forum. Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lila.